Good evening. This is a meeting of the Athens Board of Zoning Appeals. The time is 7:01 p.m. and the date is Tuesday, November 12, 2019. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. The board consists of 5 members and 2 alternates, the alternates taking full part in the discussions and becoming a voting member in the absence of a member or when a member abstains for conflict of interest. Present tonight are members Ms. Lisa Carson, Mr. John Goodekonst, Mr. Joe Cross, and the alternate member present is Mr. Robert Delac. I would like to welcome him as a new member of the board, and tonight he will be a voting member. I'm John Goldsey, the chair. Also present are the zoning administrator, Mr. David Riggs. At this time, I invite you to view a pre-recorded video on the rules and procedures of the board.
The Athens Board of Zoning Appeals operates according to the following procedure. The chair will name and describe the case. The zoning administrator or secretary will state the basis of the objection and any applicable facts or conditions pertaining to the case. The appellant or their representative will give reason why the appeal should be viewed favorably. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general comment will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. If necessary, the appellant or their representative will offer concluding, summary, or rebuttal remarks. Testimony from the floor shall be closed. The board will deliberate and render a decision. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.03b, the board has power to grant variances from the strict application of the code, provided the variance will not be contrary to the public interest, the spirit of the code is observed, public safety and welfare are secured, and substantial justice is done. According to Athens City Code, Section 23.07.10c, variances from the code shall not be granted unless the board makes specific findings of fact based directly on the particular evidence presented to it, that the standards and conditions imposed in this title, if applicable, have been met by the applicant. Exceptional circumstances. There are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. Because of exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions pertaining to a specific piece of property, a literal enforcement of these regulations will result in practical difficulty or undue hardship that is unnecessary to the achievement of public purposes. Preservation of equal property rights. Literal interpretation of these regulations would deprive the appellant of rights commonly enjoyed by others in the same zone and the same vicinity, while a granting of the requested variance will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied to other properties in the same zone and the same vicinity. Minimum variance. The variance granted is the minimum variance required to make possible the reasonable use of the property. Absence of detriment. The authorizing of such variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property and will not materially impair the purpose of the zoning code or the public interest. Not of a general nature. The condition or situation of the specific piece of property or the intended use of said property for which variance is sought, one or the other or in combination, is not of so general or recurrent a nature as to make reasonably practicable the formulation of a general regulation for such condition or situation. Any person, resident, or officer department, or appointed body of the City of Athens, aggrieved by a decision of the Board, may petition the Athens County Court of Common Pleas concerning the illegality of the decision. Such petition must be filed within 30 days after the mailing of the decision of the Board to the applicant. Thank you.
On tonight's agenda, the first case we're going to hear would be the property at 59 North Lancaster Street, and the second one would be at 145 Pomeroy Road. The Board is required to take testimony under oath. Would anyone wishing to speak concerning any item on the agenda please stand? Anyone who wants to testify? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will be presenting to the Board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please be seated. Thank you. Okay, let's go to case number 1, case 19-08V, the property at 59 North Lancaster Street. Zone is R2, and Mr. Scott Hunter is the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 230402A1 to allow construction of a commercial parking lot in an R2 zone where such use is not allowed. And sir, do you have anything to add that you want to brief us for?
No, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hunter applied for a zoning permit, as you said, in an R2 zone to put in a private parking area for his tenants. He was denied that by my office because that is not a permitted use in an R2 zone. So he's seeking relief at the Board here to allow that variance.
Okay. A general question: is there any possibility to put a house or something in that property without requiring a variance?
There is an existing structure on that property. It doesn't meet the current setbacks, the current requirements, but it's grandfathered in. Okay. But there is an existing structure on the site.
Okay, so if they want to renovate that, then they need to meet the new code, right?
They could, I believe that they could come in and ask for a variance if they wanted to make changes to the exterior of the structure. Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the code office? Well, Mr. Hunter, you're already at the podium. Would you please state your name and your address for the record?
It's Scott Hunter, Hunter Reynolds at 32 West Stimson Avenue.
And please state your case.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to make a small needed project in Athens. I own 59 North Lancaster. The house in April had a fire in it, and I did purchase it in early September. The house is in bad shape. It has some unusual circumstances, which I'll cover later. I'd like to take this opportunity to make a nice improvement to a challenging situation in Athens, and that's parking. I'd like to add 17 paved, high-quality, safe, and secure parking spots to this lot. The house is a little bit unique. It actually, if everyone's familiar with the alley that runs down past the cemetery from West State to Lancaster, the house actually sits 9, 10, 11 inches from the road, and actually on the second page of this, I had it surveyed, and it shows that actually the gutter and the soffit actually hang over the property line. It's can be a dangerous situation from anybody that can't drive straight and narrow. The goal is to remove the house and add the parking. It would be a private lot. That wouldn't be something I'd be renting spots in. It would provide 11 parking spots, which are needed for my 33 West State, which is at the corner of West State and Congress. I currently have 13 units there, and only literally have a driveway in the back that I have 2 cars parked from that. The other location I've owned a house for a long time is at 38 West Carpenter. I have 6 total tenants there. I have 1 garage in the back, so they can double stack in that garage. So I have 4 to 5 cars that would park from that. They're both very close, and they're both on that much needed area where parking is a problem on the street, and for residents such as North Congress, the 38 West Carpenter actually sits 30 feet from the corner of North Congress and Carpenter Street, where that church is right there. And I also have a house at 102 West State, which actually sits on this alley at the corner of West State, where I have 4 tenants, and I have 1 to 2 spots. If they park it right, they can get 2. So that would be a wonderful situation for those tenants as well. It would, I do have all 4 tenants have a car. I would utilize that for those tenants. Happens to be the number does come out perfect to the 17. One of the great things about the possibility of the lot being there, it's on a very non-traveled, I don't know if it's called a road or an alley. Don't have a count or anything, but occasionally one comes down through there. It's kind of a cut through from West State to Lancaster. I understand I'm allowed up to 60% lot coverage. I'm only using 47.13%. And from this picture that I have up there, this is from Lancaster Street, and the parking wouldn't disturb any of these trees or vegetation or bushes on this hillside. It would actually be on top of there. So the green space, what is put down as pavement would not really be disturbed. The green space that's mainly visible from Lancaster, you would not even see, you would still see this hillside. This would be untouched. So I kind of think that's important. The total lot size, which is on this diagram, is 6,500 feet, and the lot coverage of the pavement is 3,060. So it is 47.14%. It's not on that, but it's way under the 60. Okay. I'm not 100% clear on all your requirements. The practicality, difficulty of undue hardship issue. It's clearly a hardship in some areas. It's the house truly does sit. I don't have the setback to build anything new. Whether I have to make changes to it and ask for variances, I'm sure I wouldn't be able to obtain them, because I don't think we want a house that sits 1 inch from the property line or 9 inches over the property line. The exceptional circumstances would go along right with the danger situation. It would be a great benefit to the city to remove this house. I actually own 102 West State. Has everyone gone down that alley sometime in your life? Okay. I actually own the house that sits on West State. That there's a fence that goes down through there.
Nice pole, too.
It's a nice pole, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real pole.
It actually, 6 months ago, a young guy who decided to borrow his girlfriend's mom's car without telling her made the swipe awful steep, and he hit the pole. And there's a pole there, and it has 3 2x4s or 4x4s around the post, and it has cables wrapped around. So the young gentleman decided that when he hit the fence and the post, that he would try to maneuver his way out of the situation so he wouldn't be, caught. So he backed into my window in the house, and he decided to continue to try to rock back and forth and rock against the post and rock back into my house. And then he tried to rock it out. And anyways, in the consequences of that, the car kept turning more sideways. So this house presents a similar situation. I was over there the other day and watched a FedEx UPS truck drive down through the high panels. It is really tight, you know. It's so I worry about safety in that regard, and I worry about the ability of pedestrians to walk past there if there would be a truck or a car walking or a car. At the same time, when someone's walking, they would have to obviously stop and step aside and get out of the way. So I think that applies under exceptional circumstances. The preservation of equal property rights. I provided everyone with these photos. I think it applies to 3 and 5. The first 2 photos are a Google map or Google Earth, and also the Athens County Auditor site. The house, where my house is the lot. You can see the lot size in the triangle. You can see that around there's many paved parking areas, some as many as 10 cars. So in line items, preservation of equal property rights and absence of detriment, I think that both the case is it doesn't hurt anyone's property values around if this happens. And it certainly isn't anything special that I'm getting because everyone around there has paved parking with a house. So I'm just asking for paved parking without a house. I think adding the parking to the city of Athens and uptown is a benefit for the city for sure. Getting rid of a house that should have never been put in, I think the house is 80 to 100 years old, would be a great benefit. The minimum variance, I'm asking for the minimum variance, I believe, or I can't do it without it. The general nature, I'm not sure about the general nature.
Okay.
I have not much written down for that. So, anyways, what questions? This is the scale of the project. This is the drawing from a gentleman that did the site survey, and he did come up with the fact that the gutter overhangs 8 inches over the property boundary, not the city right away, but the property boundary. What questions can I answer?
I was wondering, on the right side of the house, as you're standing in the road and you're looking at it, the 2 spots you've got that are going to be parallel, there's a pretty steep hill there. It goes right into someone's doorway, into their backyard there.
Okay.
Parking lot down below there too, a little bit.
Okay.
Are you going to build a wall or anything like that, or retaining wall? Because it's just earth.
Well, we'd put a curb on that end.
Is that road one way, that cemetery road?
It's one way.
One way?
Yeah.
So basically the road is about 10.5 feet to 11 feet, the paved road.
Okay.
And then there's the wall right there, the cemetery wall.
Yes.
So if you're pulling out with my car, I couldn't, if the lots are like this, pulling straight out, if you had 2 cars on the side of you, it would be really tough to get out into that.
You mean backing out of it?
Backing out and turning.
I've played with it with my big truck.
Okay.
I think it's doable.
It's doable.
Yeah.
I believe that's a safety issue, that the code office will take care of that, and we are not discussing generally the safety
The
problems.
I mean the spots would go longer too. The average cars, depends on what you have, of course, but the car just wouldn't be right at the end of the parking area, if just so everyone pulls in, which I'll have stops there so they can pull up too.
You got to keep that beautiful sycamore. Was it sycamore? Or
I'm going to keep everything. There's no reason to tear any trees down at all. One of the great things about it is from Lancaster Street, nothing will change. It won't be disrupting any of the. It's truly pavement where the gravel parking currently exists.
Any other questions?
So if this is a commercial lot for your other tenants,
Correct.
I assume you would use a towing company if there were people in the spots that shouldn't be. Yes?
Sure.
Just looking here, how feasible would that be to get a towing truck down there to remove vehicles?
I think
I
they
mean,
get,
is that your truck that you're using for scale in this picture I'm looking at? The picture number 1?
that's a, yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that I noticed right away is, what if there had to be something towed?
Again, those are the issues that
Yeah.
we don't
We-
consider.
okay.
It's maybe a helicopter can pick up the car and move it. But it's something that they have to solve it.
Right, you see it too?
Any other questions?
So I guess if it's tight in there, like your concern is when they go to pull out, the towed car might slide in.
Right.
Okay. I guess I've seen those guys pull amazing things out of spots. I
I agree.
watched
You had a
one the other
question?
day, guy.
Yeah, so now having done this before, new here, we'll see if this is a question I can ask even, is I'm curious about the parking requirements at the other properties you mentioned that you want to use these spaces for. So those properties have tenants, there were at some point, maybe you're grandfathered in where you didn't have parking requirements for those properties?
Right.
Or you had them, had variances for those?
What,
Were there
one
any
is one of,
variances or?
33 West State is one of the, it's one of the oldest houses, I think, downtown. I don't know what it used to be a long time ago. Yeah, so it's been a commercial rental property for a long time.
So it was grandfathered in, no
Yeah.
parking spaces needed to be
Correct.
provided? How about the other two properties?
Same. 38 West Carpenter I've owned
Both
for,
grandfathered?
I've owned it for, I've probably owned that one 25 years. And it's so close to the end of court, I don't have the, I don't have the need to have parking to go with it. But I am the type of guy that likes to have a complete property. Like, I am excited to maybe get this tonight to provide my tenants there with parking. And the same with the 33 West State.
So, and again, this is something, see if I can ask this question, is, are your leases currently, say you're providing any parking to any of your tenants, or is it that doesn't come with their lease, and what few spaces there are sort of?
Yeah. I mean, I'll never charge tenants for parking. In the future of this, I won't. I'll just tell them that they have it. If they have a car, they're welcome to use it. I don't have anything in my leases about parking, but they will have this parking. My tenants will have this parking. I'm not doing, it's not the smartest investment just to do what I'm doing. I'm doing it to provide parking for my tenants. And I won't be renting out. I'm not in the car rental business, parking rental. I don't want to rent something for $40 a month and have a headache of someone that doesn't know where they're parking and have to get a call on a $40 a month. So I won't be charging for parking. It will enhance my properties for sure.
Can I keep going?
Sure, go ahead. That was a
So-
great question.
I'm ready.
One more question
Sure.
is there was some information in the documentation about the current appraised property value versus what that would be with the lot on there. Can you talk a little bit about what the current appraised value is? And then what it would be potentially, by estimation, I think.
I don't know what the appraised value is on the tax. Do you know what it is?
I thought it was 74,000
Okay.
or something I saw.
I think I saw that somewhere.
And so then if this is a parking lot, I think I saw the documentation, 30,000 was the estimated potential value of the parking plus the property, I would assume?
I mean, I don't know the value. I haven't really thought about it. I'm not doing it for numbers, profit, or that's not my first goal here.
I thought that was the
30,000
price.
was the cost.
Yeah, the
That's
cost.
the cost to do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
To do it.
yeah,
Is that right?
So we don't,
that is correct.
so I guess one thing I'm curious about here is there's a decreased potential tax revenue for the city if these changes occur. Is something to consider potentially. Is that something we can
That's
consider?
not, no, that's not something.
And I think it's, like you kind of give me an idea, I guess I should go and tell them, you know, if I get this, then maybe it drops. But I haven't really thought about it. But I'm sure it would. I think I saw my taxes are $1,200 a year. I think I was looking around the auditor site today, just kind of looking. I was hoping to find back things that I couldn't find, and I did come across those. I think it's $1,200.
Generally speaking, we do not consider financial impact on the appellants or maybe the city, I guess, but so.
Thank you.
If things change, if there is one of your properties requires parking, that you want to use this, there is a distance that also comes into the picture. It has to be so many feet from the place that you are.
I mean, if I was going to do something there that would enhance the property,
if
then
you are using these parking spaces for some property in as a in the future, maybe then there is a distance that would be.
So, like, if I was going to apply for a variance for a house, and I would say, hey, I got this lot at 59 North Congress.
There has to be a distance.
Yeah,
It has to be of a certain distance, so say you were doing something at one of these places that was grandfathered.
I understand.
You would still have to get the variance.
Yeah,
from
and
us
I'm not.
before you-
I have no other plans to buy some property near this one and build a bunch of apartments without parking and say, here, I got this property. It's truly, my only goal is to enhance my other properties, provide my tenants with parking.
Okay.
And, I mean, I am a community guy. It will benefit the city. It'll get, and it's in the critical, I think the whole 24-hour parking thing actually happened when I was on city council, and I know it originated from the North Congress group. And this is right there. It's going to impact that group the most, that area, you know, and I'm happy about that.
Are all the houses around there rentals?
Around where?
All of them?
Around this
Behind the house,
property?
yes.
Yes. If you go to this, either page 2 or page 3 on this, they are all rentals for sure. Mainly, Sturbois has 53 and 51 and 100 West State. That's West State at the top. University rental zones 45, 47, 98. I actually own 94. And I have paid parking there, which I got a permit for many years ago. But most of these, on page 2, it seems to be very descriptive. Like most of these are paved lots, paved parking areas, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cars.
Any other questions? You may be seated now.
Okay, thank you.
And then we may call you back again in here. At this point, anyone wishing to speak in favor of this request will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in general on this case will be heard. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard. Okay. Lisa, you want to read that letter that we have? There is a concern from a citizen sent by a letter to us, email. So we're going to read it into
I'll
the
get this to you. So this came to me and to John Golsey from Joan Kronansky. Dear John and Lisa, I have some concerns about the proposed parking lot at 59 North Lancaster. I have visited the code office and read Mr. Hunter's submission. I was looking for a scale drawing of the proposed lot, but it had not been submitted. My first concern is that this would add a second commercial parking lot within a few blocks, the first being the Carpenter Street parking lot. The Carpenter Street parking lot adjacent to Johnny Appleseed Park has been in violation of the Shade Tree Commission requirements since its construction in the 1990s, and because of that, it is an eyesore to the adjacent R1 neighborhood. Due to the peculiar shape of the lot, that is to say, the lot we're considering, without a scale drawing, I'm finding it hard to imagine how there would be sufficient landscape covering. Also, entry to this lot is from a one-way street off of West State Street, and exiting would be onto 2nd Street, which I believe would cause, that's not right, is it?
First Street.
First Street, yeah, which I believe would cause drivers to mistakenly take wrong turns onto the one-way street, either for convenience or innocent misunderstanding of the street direction. Although there is signage, it is often overlooked. There is no guarantee that Mr. Hunter's tenants on West State Street would use this lot, and approving this parking lot in an R2 zone would make it a permanent parking lot in a residential zone and would be granting special privilege in that this lot has historically been used for residential use and could continue to be used for residential use. Thank you, Joan Kronansky, Mount Street.
You may come to the podium if you'd like to respond to that.
I think the green space lot coverage issue is defined in my percentages. It's one thing I do like about the project. From Lancaster Street, you literally won't see it. It's that whole hillside, this whole hillside will stay that way. I have no plans to take down a tree for any reason. It fits as is. I mean, truly, that is the area where the truck is. That's the area. So I don't need to go more because it's just a waste of money and concrete. And then I'd have to, if I went farther on the hillside, I'd have to grade it and I'd have to put in a wall. You know, and I'm not interested in that because of money, and I'm not interested because why do it? You don't need it. What else did they?
So a question I have, you're welcome to look at the letter too.
That's okay. I read it. I heard it.
Oh, okay.
Can I make one more comment about it? So
Yeah.
when they talk about the area use around there, I don't know anything about the Johnny Appleseed, and
Yeah.
I think the trees that are there will stay. Like if somebody would want me to plant more, I would, but there's certainly a lot there. The thing I would point to that's probably a very good point is that the houses that are near me are rentals with a lot of parking. I don't think they're having any concern being nearby because that's what they have now.
So the biggest concern I have about your project is that it could raise the issue of special privilege in a permanent parking lot is not permitted in that zone. And why could not other landlords come forward and say, I own all these buildings that don't have parking. I would like to raise this other building and create a parking lot when it's not.
Well, I think it's a
permitted.
case-by-case basis. This is certainly a great spot for this. It won't be visible from Lancaster Street. It doesn't interrupt the green space. Its neighboring area is full of paved parking. Traffic's low there. I think it's a great space to help with the situation that Athens has had. This hits the heart of the problem, the North Congress area. It'll relieve that area. It's not going to be an ugly sight. It's not going to be hardly visible unless you're traveling down that alley for some reason.
Do you think people won't actually go invest in putting parking lots instead of putting a property? And I don't think it would be financially, he's not making any money on this thing. But,
And I think that's the point of this board. This is a great opportunity to, I don't know what removing a house means to anybody. It's certainly something that does protrude over the property line. It is a dangerous situation. It would be best that that house was never built, and I'm willing to take it down.
My final question, I didn't get a chance to visit the property, but right now it's just sitting there empty and there is some fire damage.
Fire damage.
So it needs to be
needs,
taken down.
Needs something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to close the discussions from the floor, and then anybody would like to make a motion?
Oh, I don't have.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, if I can remember how to do this.
I move.
I move that we grant a variance in the case of 59 North Lancaster Street from Athens City Code 230402A1 to allow construction of a commercial parking lot in an R2 zone where such use is not allowed.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay.
Tension.
I got worried for a second. Okay, we're going to go through the findings quickly. Exceptional circumstances. Are there exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to this property in question or to the intended use of the property that do not apply generally to other properties or classes or uses in the same zone?
Yes.
Yes. The situation of the house.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
just where it's situated.
And that will probably answer the second part, practical difficulty. I'm not going to read it, so,
Yes, fire.
okay. Preservation of equal property rights. Again, we're probably giving more privilege to this property for having just a parking lot, but again, I don't think too many people would like to just have parking lots. Right? Minimum variance, I think this is the minimal variance for usage of the property. Absence of detriment.
Well, some people will regard having a parking lot there as a detriment.
Okay, yeah, and the getting in and out and so forth, but those parking lots are designed for the right size, and apparently the code office would have informed us of any situation. Not of a general nature, no.
No.
Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor of granting the variance, please raise your hand. Okay, you got 4. You have the variance 4-1. Okay. We're going to go to second case. Case number 19-9V. The property is at 145 Pomeroy Road. Zone is R1. And Ms. Victoria Goss from the Last Chance Corral is the appellant. The appellant is requesting a variance from ACC 230401A to allow a horse equipment store as part of a commercial/residential building use in R1 zone where such commercial use is not allowed. Code office, any
Yeah, thank you,
comments on this?
Mr. Chairman. The code office denied this zoning permit because it's not a permitted use in an R1 zone, although the structure itself has historically been a business. And I think the property next to it has also been a business. And I think a business and a combination rental unit. The appellant is seeking relief from the zoning code by coming to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Is this place right in the borderline of the city?
It is,
It
right
is.
at the
How far
end.
is it exactly, city? I mean, that's okay, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was in the city limit, but
Yes, it
apparently
is.
it is.
Yeah. I can show you on the map here real quick.
Okay,
It's actually located, Pomeroy Road. Right
Wow,
here.
Yeah.
oh, okay, okay.
in the boot.
Sorry, I just wanted.
And then, any questions for the code office?
You mentioned the property next door has had business uses. Does it
think-
currently?
Both
Yes.
the businesses are vacant at this time, but they were both used as a business at one time. I think one was a fish or aquarium.
Fish supply, yes,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
That's him.
The fish house.
You gotta wait.
Yeah, just wait, please, yeah. We're gonna keep it in order. Yes, there was a business once upon a time, or maybe it still is, I don't know. They may still be having the license for it. We will figure it out. Okay, you're already at the podium. Would you please state your name and your address for the record?
My name is Victoria Goss. I live at 5350 Old Route 33 in Athens, Ohio.
Okay. And please state your case.
All right. I don't know if everybody here knows me, but I run the Last Chance Corral. It's a nonprofit organization that's been based out of Athens for 32 years, I believe. We take in abused, neglected, unwanted horses, ponies, etc., fix them up. A lot of them go to 4-H kids once we've got them ready. A lot go into police service, Wounded Warriors programs, wherever we can put these animals, since we rely on the public to help us save them. We want to put them back into the public. We have been, it's about 200 animals a year. Now, most of these are brand new and induced labor preemie foals, which will come in again later. But it's a 24-hour a job, IV fluids, oxygen, blood transfusions, the whole 9 yards to pull these little lives through. They're just a byproduct. And nobody should be born just to die. I'm going to apologize right now because I'm not used to public speaking and I get really emotional, so I'm going to start crying. So bear with me on that, because this all means the world to me. Okay. Now, and I've got my notes. I'm not nearly as prepared as Mr. Hunter was. This is the first time I've ever dealt with this stuff.
Well, he has done it for quite a bit when he was in.
Well,
City
this
Council.
particular aspect. Okay. That building had become the worst. I don't know if you guys have been driving by it for a long time. It was a blight. It's like the cornerstone of that community, that building at that crossroad, and it was just a horrible. It had been abandoned. The roof had been torn off. It was a mess, and yet I had somebody come in, and the bones were good because it's a block building. And so I decided, because I had been looking for a long time for ways to make this nonprofit organization more sustainable. And we get a lot of donations of used and new horse equipment from tack shops, as well as from people that are in the industry and showing, etc. We can take the tack, and we've had sales in Athens before, and it's great because the 4-H kids in this area don't have the kind of revenue that the 4-H kids do up around Columbus, and they can buy that stuff for pennies on the dollar, and they're as proud as peaches to even have a saddle, never mind a brand new saddle. Anyway, but we do have a great influence on that younger generation coming up, because those are the only people you're going to teach the difference. A lot of the black-heartedness that people think brings about animal abuse, it isn't black-heartedness, it's ignorance. And ignorance and poverty, I'm sorry, they tend to be closely related. Generational learning in some of the kids around here, that when your horse has worms, you put turpentine on its belly. That's what Grandpa did. That's what Pa did. We really do have a big, but that's another thing. All right, back to the thing here, the store. This building, you've seen it, it's got this huge big metal signpost out front. It was always a business residence. In the 40s and 50s, it was a filling station, but they also had food and ice cream. They had that little pond in the backyard, and it was a place where people would go to picnic. That's kind of a cool idea. It's not what you do at filling stations now, but I guess back then it was a place to go. It was then I can't find what it was for one point in time, but then it was a coin shop, then it was a framing studio, and then the roof blew off, and the owner, shy of tenants, ceased to pay whatever business tax there is. I don't know, is that correct? That you have to pay a tax to keep your, okay. Hey, I've never owned a business in town. If it's got 4 legs and fur, I can fix it. Otherwise, I probably don't know about it.
Oh yeah, there's all kind of taxes you have to pay.
So, they're right there, they're constant. I mean, it had become a place that only invited vandalism and vermin. It was affordable for the last chance to purchase this derelict because, frankly, we can't purchase something new, and we can't afford to get it all fixed up at once. I've been 3 years into the project, slowly doing it as my shallow pockets can afford, and putting a new roof. Now it's got a new roof, it's got new electric, new plumbing. I'm installing the kitchen cabinets as we speak, new heating system. I mean, this thing has got everything. And then somebody told me, you may not be able to have that there. I panicked, but I really feel this is a worthy project. It's worthy that it's gonna support the Last Chance Corral. As a business, it's always been a business and a residence, and I would like to maintain the residence part. We have a lot of, I'm sorry, I'm just so nervous. We have a lot of interns that come to us, veterinary students that want to learn about the equine neonatal practice. We have, and I don't like to blow my own horn, but I'm really proud of the work I do. The American Veterinary Medical Association named me the humane person in the United States for doing the most with the least, which I think is pretty cool. And we have veterinarians calling us from around the country because we're the #1 resource. We deal with more neonatal orphans than any place else in the country, if not the world. And we have the highest success rate. Columbus, at the university, with the same patients, they have a 30% mortality, and we have a 5% mortality. Thank you very much. We work really hard for that. However, a lot of specialist veterinary students come, and when they come and do an internship with me, they have to stay at a hotel. And people that come from out of town to volunteer for a week, they have to stay someplace else. And if we had that part of the building available, then these people that are doing an internship where they're not getting paid would have a place to stay. That would be great. The building itself as a store would be very low impact on the community, though it's got ample parking, because most of the transactions I feel are going to happen online. It's pretty specialized stuff. It's not like a convenience store or, you know, you're only going to go in there if you're looking for horse equipment, and most of that's going to be done online. As far as the future of this place goes, my mom, who left me a couple years ago, always said, it's your dream. Make it as big as you want it to be. So I would like to, in the future, cooperate, whatever the appropriate word would be, with other, I'm sorry, I just get so emotional. Other nonprofits, charities, art groups, and support that at that store as well. And you know, incorporate as much of Athens as we can, and have maybe a special place in the store for local artists to display their wares and advertise, because it could become a destination for out-of-town people. And I'm sorry, but a lot of horse people have money. And to bring them into this town and introduce them to all the incredible charities that we have here and all the great work that's going on. But wait, there's more. There's another thing I almost forgot. You guys may not know Lucian Spataro, but he owns, I believe, 87 acres across the street. He's, at this point, he grew up here. He wrote a great book about riding his horse across the country. However, he is fencing in his property and turning it was his farms, his family farm years ago. And he's turning it into a place where we will be able to graze some of the starvation horses that need the grasses and movement to recover. And he would also, he's working with the university to set up some projects that we're trying to work a thing together, but you know, we're both coming at it from, he lives in Scottsdale at this point, and he comes back like 6 or 7 times a year, but he wants to support the Last Chance and work with the university. And I can't tell you about the projects he has involved, but I think it's all just, it has a potential to go great places, and he's got the backing to make all that happen. I can make this building happen. Like I said, our pockets are shallow, the money goes to the animals first. However, this will support the Last Chance. We're also going to create several jobs for people here in Athens. And we already have that going for us, and it's I believe it's a worthy cause. It was a business, let's make it a business again.
Any questions for the appellant?
Yeah, I have a question. When do you think it would be up and running?
At this point, I've got most of the, I don't know what the heavy kind of construction done, and we're getting down to the cosmetics, but we're also coming into, from January through July, that's full season for me. That's all I do. It's 24 hours a day work. I would like to think that I'd love to be able to have an online presence, which we already have it kind of out of my living room. Everything's stored there. Happening relatively soon, but I would say by summer we would be up and running, and it would be nice to be able to do events there, especially since next door the combined parking is great, and there's a great facility there that I would like to be in touch with that property owner on. I think it's a great idea, and I hope you do too.
Go ahead. Are you intending to rent any rooms out there or anything?
I can't hear you.
Are you intending to rent any rooms out there?
No.
We had one of your neighbors this year who.
No, and here's another cool thing. Right across the street, Pleasant Hill, there's that brick house up on the hill right there. That belongs to my sister, Rebecca. You'll notice a resemblance. When my mom died, my 94-year-old father is now, we share the responsibility. It takes a village to raise a will. He's quite a guy. and being right across the street, she would be able to and she does the office for me because I can't type with these guys.
And all the things you're going to sell there, they will be for the nonprofit. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So the reason we turned this other person down in your neighborhood was because he wanted to rent out his house on Pomeroy Road. And that was, I'm just bringing that up because...
Yeah, no, what I would have I mean, if it ever came to the point, who knows what the future might bring, that then I'd have to probably come back here again. But what I want to keep it as is like a little guest house for interns and people that are coming to volunteer. You know, we have a lot of people fly from California, Washington State, Florida to come and spend a week. And I hate making them have to go stay in a hotel if I had a place. And then, of course, if there's a presence, it makes it harder to rob.
So how far is it from your
About a
horse
mile and a
area
half from my place,
to
and
this place?
about 20 feet from my sister's property.
No, I'm talking about where you keep the horses. From where you keep the horses, where you have the establishment, to this place.
The horses stay at my place.
I know, but how
Not a-
far is it? How far is it from your house?
About a mile and a half.
Okay.
And then if we are keeping horses at Lucian's, once he finishes his place, he actually shares the driveway with Mr. Prokos.
Okay. I didn't see any other houses close to this place, other neighbors or
No,
stuff. So-
it's got like 2 acres almost that goes
Okay.
all the way to the next road. It's pretty much unusable.
Okay, you may be seated, and then we may call you again, depending if people are opposing.
I'm sorry I wasn't more prepared.
You should go on the road and give us speeches on horses. Okay, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the request will be heard now.
And you two, please stand.
My name is Wayne Pay. I own 165 Pomeroy Road, which is the adjoining property. It is a commercial building, has been since it was built in 1945. If you've gone up Pomeroy Road, you'll see it has a greenhouse on the front, and it has 2 apartments upstairs. I run a small business in the downstairs. We used to have a large aquarium store there, but with the old Route 33 becoming a old route and most everybody using the new route in Walmart, I now only use the business for selling custom-built woodwork products, primarily aquarium stands still, and I sell them on a regular basis. The reason I'm here is that piece of property next to me was I thought it really should have been torn down. I was almost going to complain about it. Nobody ever cut the grass. The roof was falling in. The tenants next door into my place were saying, "Oh, there's people hanging around there at nighttime," and you know, it was scary. And Victoria has come in, and she's made the place presentable. It's got a new roof on it, and it has historically always been a kind of a niche business, you know, kind of like Avalanche Pizza or Lamb's Garden, or you know, it's the kind of places you come to Athens for, the Village Bakery or fish and stuff or better aquariums or you know the beach house, places like that. That's
Pizza.
yeah, you know, that's what you come to Athens for. And if she wants to sell saddles next door, I just wanted to say that I'm really happy with what she's done with the place, and I'm all for her selling the saddles. And I don't know why. I received a letter from the board here, and I didn't know if I was supposed to speak or just supposed to listen, but my opinion is that I'm glad that she bought the building and she's doing a good job taking care of it, and it's come a long way the electric's a big deal, the water's a big deal, and she's taking care of those things. So my vote's just in favor of her. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions for me?
Questions?
Thanks, Wayne.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor of request? Ma'am, did you swear in to tell the truth?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
I promise.
My name is Jackie Shipley, and I have known Victoria Goss
And
for
your
about-
address, please.
Pardon me?
Your address.
Oh, I'm sorry. 17911 Sandrock Road, Amesville, Ohio. As I said, my name is Jackie Shipley, and I have known Miss Victoria Goss for at least 35 years. Don't say it's more. We're the same age. But she never does anything half-pass. She never does anything patchwork or just okay. You know, make do is not in her vocabulary when it comes to a project of any kind. I don't care what it is. She does it to the very best of her ability. It's always top-notch, first-rate, high-quality stuff. She's an amazing person. She has an awesome vision, huge heart, more talent than one person should ever be graced with. She's just a fabulous individual, and I hope that you honor her request because I think this is a very worthy cause. The number of lives that she has touched through the business of the Last Chance Corral, and I'm sorry now I'm going to get emotional, is just incredible. I could tell you 100 stories, but I won't tell you. You know, you should come out and visit the place yourself sometime because it's an amazing facility, and I worked there a number of years. Before she actually paid me to go out there and work for her, I used to do her office work. I would just go out there because it was a wonderful place to be. You know, it was a great place to go if you were feeling a little bit low. You could just go out and hang out with the foals, and pretty soon they're nuzzling up against you and pushing you around the room, and you just feel like you're a better person for it. And it's a wonderful community service organization because it is a community service site still, right? So, you know, folks who need to pay a little debt to society can come out there and shovel poop. And you'd be surprised how therapeutic that is for most people. We don't see a lot of repeat offenders. Somehow the act of shoveling all that poop kind of helps them focus on where their life's going and what they ought to be doing instead of what they have been doing. So she provides a great community service, and I have no doubt that this is going to be nothing but an asset to the entire neighborhood when she's finished with it. So, thank you for your time. Do you have any questions for me?
No. The previous person was here. Did you mention your address when you were here?
Yeah.
Please come to the podium. He did?
He did.
Oh, okay.
He did.
Well, let's do it again because our secretary is not here today, so.
And my name is Wayne Pay. My home address is 3425 Dutch Ridge Road, Guysville, Ohio.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on behalf of this variance request? Anyone wishing to speak in general? Yes. Come to the podium, please, and state your name and address.
My name is Mark Moser. I live at 1 Ridgeview Road in Athens. My house was across the street from the property that you're working on.
Oh, okay.
I'm up on the hill. But my question is more for the zoning appeals board is, if we've had businesses in these buildings before, shouldn't there be a variance or something was approved in the past? Why are we doing it again now?
Well, it could have been many, many years ago, which was grandfathered, but even if Mr. Payne, if wants to have a business, he probably has to reapply. I don't know, but
I don't know, it's
that's
just-
the question. Maybe you can answer.
Yeah, this would be a non-conforming use in a residential area, and even if that had been used at one time, they would have to come in and ask for a variance.
So you have to, okay. All
I
right.
was actually surprised because this is right on the 33 on the road, so I assume.
I don't know when this was annexed into the city or how long it's been part of the city, but it could have been that these businesses were originally outside of the city limits, which had different regulations.
Yeah. So it is zone R, so which is residential. It has to be a B zone,
Right, I
and
understand
maybe the
that.
zone could be changed later on. So
Okay, so but anybody that would apply for variance, if she would abandon her business and somebody else wanted a business, they'd have to get another variance? Is that how it works? I mean,
Variance actually goes with the land.
with the land, yeah.
okay, so, all right,
I don't abandon.
Once you get the variance for the property, it goes forever.
okay. That was
it,
my one
okay.
question. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to speak in general? Yes, sir.
I did get if I could approach the.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I did get a letter that came to the code office for the board.
Please read it.
Oh, I can read it for you?
Sure.
This was a letter that came to the code office from William D. and Joan G. Jones to the Board of Zoning Appeals. We do not care that Victoria Goss/Chance Corral puts a business at 145 Pomeroy Road. We have concerns about people parking too close to Pomeroy Road and blocking the view coming out of Pleasant Hill Road. There needs to be some kind of setback established to guarantee site is not blocked, is what the letter reads.
Yeah, it is kind of tough to see the cars coming from Pomeroy Road going upward.
Can I say something?
Just 1 second. Okay, that's done. You didn't swear. You were sitting.
I didn't swear, but it's a general.
But yeah, but you were sitting when I.
Look, can I swear? I swear.
Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I live.
Come to the podium, please.
John, related to that question, do we have any idea how far the city's right-of-way extends?
Yeah, that's old 33. It's got rid of 23 now, I think.
Pomeroy Road. And when it was a state route, there was quite a bit of right-of-way, and most of the parking area in the front of both of these businesses actually located in the city's public right-of-way. That would not be permitted without a Title 49 permit, a special permit for use of the public right-of-way.
And that would sort of address the issue that
Correct, yes.
these folks brought up.
I think if they parked on the side, it would be better, but parking there in the front, I could see it being a sight distance problem.
Okay.
All right, I'm Rebecca Chamberlain. I live at 145 Pomeroy Road, Athens, Ohio.
The same address?
135.
135. Okay.
Yeah. Being as my house is sitting up on the hill, directly across from it, I look down from my porch into that parking lot. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every city truck, every logging truck, every electrical truck, every stinking truck that needs a place to park for a minute or an hour or a day and overnight, they're there. And yeah, they do block the view quite a bit, but it's not because of the store. And I don't see that would ever change. It's an open spot, a wide spot in the road for anybody to pull over and park their truck.
Maybe if the store was there, they couldn't do that.
Right. And if the store was there, they wouldn't be able to, and those vehicles wouldn't be sitting there for hours and overnights.
So how would you like your sister to be so close to you?
I'm at her house every single day anyway. So. But yeah, that's all I had to say about the parking and whether or not it's going to obstruct view. It's not going to be any different than what it is right now.
Okay. Thank you. Now, anyone wishing to speak in opposition will be heard.
I want to just make another comment. I don't know, I'm not saying it's an opposition.
Go ahead.
It could fall
General.
under the category.
Under general,
I
okay.
guess. I mean, first of all, I applaud what you're doing with the horses. I think it's just a tremendous thing that you're doing. I'm not anything against that. My concern is what's in the letter too, is the parking, and the hazard that might create for traffic. You mentioned the pasture area across the street. 80 acres or 40 acres or whatever is down in there. And there's also concern about cross-traffic between one location and the other that's an issue that I'm worried about. So, I mean, we had a bad accident there this summer. I don't know when that was, in June or July, you know.
That wouldn't be.
No, I understand that, but if you make that intersection more congested with traffic, either people parking there that they can't see well, or people walking across the road for some reason, because I'm concerned that people park on my side of the road, which is the east side of the road, and then they want to walk across the street. So,
I think you have to understand that this is a really.
Let's just one at a time.
I'm sorry.
so you know, my concern isn't having that business there. My concern is that it might create a more dangerous intersection than it already is. That's
I think there's another part of the city organization that looks into the safety issues,
Okay.
because we are not concerned with the safety or financial impact on the appellants. So I'm sure they have to go back to the code office to get a permit, and probably they will be discussed. Those safety issues will be discussed.
sure. That's all.
If I can.
To the podium.
To the podium I go. Appointment. All right. First of all, this is a highly specialized store. It's not like people are going to go, oh, look, I'm pulling in to buy a saddle. Most people will be making appointments to meet us. Occasionally, if we have a big to-do once or twice a year, there will be people coming. But most of our sales, I believe, are going to be conducted online. Most of the vehicles that are going to be there are probably going to be ours when we're working on it. Once it's up and running, there's going to be a lot less happening there. But I don't see. I mean, I've had the store in a building on my farm for about 10 years, except that I realized 3 years ago that I needed to take that building and turn it into sick bay so that I didn't have sick foals and healthy foals in the same building separated by gates. And I needed a place to put it, but I'd say my traffic on sales was probably about one person a week, generally. I mean, around the holidays, we had more, but we really didn't have a lot of. Most of the sales are going to be online. I don't think it's going to. I don't know how long it's been since you built your place, but do you remember what that place used to be? I mean, some people tried to go into the basement and make a crack.
Okay, Ms. Goss, you may, we're going to probably
I'm sorry.
stop
I
right
just wanted
here.
to let them know it's not like a convenience store.
Okay. You had on your door soon to be horse equipment, but not soon enough. Is that because of this variance, or is it because of?
Oh, that it's going to be soon, but not too soon? No,
Okay.
I didn't even know about this till
Okay.
recently. It's not going to be too soon because I can't afford to hire
Okay.
contractors
Okay.
who take the lion's
But not
share.
because of this variance.
No,
Okay.
it's just that I can only do so much at a time, and that's out of my pocket.
All right, thank you. We're going to close the discussions from the floor. And anybody wants to make a motion?
I move to grant a variance for case number 19-09V, 145 Pomeroy Road, requesting a variance from ACC 23.04.01A to allow a horse equipment store as part of the commercial residential building use in an R1 zone where such commercial use is not allowed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, very good, Ron. Your first second.
That was my first movement.
Really?
Is that your first movement?
All right, let's go over the findings, exceptional circumstances. I think the location of this property is kind of exceptional because, first of all, I didn't see too many neighbors, so it is a residential area. And also, it has been used for commercial in the past. So,
I agree.
Joe, you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. Practical difficulty and undue hardship. I would kind of relate the function of this property to whatever they do with the horses, so it supports each other, I think. So that without it, it may create some difficulty if we don't approve this variance. Okay, because the idea is in here is that, do we create a difficulty or hardship for the appellant by not approving this? This has always been the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Preservation of equal property rights. Again, this is a very unique situation, I think, so I don't think we are giving more or less privilege to this property. Is this a minimum variance?
I think so.
Okay. Absence of detriment. The letter that the code director wrote, read into the account, there's some concerns probably, but there's a big, large property in there, so maybe something could be done in the back or so forth. But generally, I don't see any absence of, there's any detriment in there. Not of a general nature.
Not at all.
Not at all. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of this variance, please raise your hand. You got the variance 5-0. Okay, we have one more last thing on the agenda. Disposition of the minutes from September 10, 2019 meeting. I didn't have any issue with it.
No.
Did you read? Okay, if you were present on September 10, you were not here. You were here in September. So we need a motion for that.
I move that we approve the minutes as from the September 10th, 2019 meeting.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Joe, second. And then all in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand. You got a minimum 3, so approved. And unless there's any business to discuss, the meeting is adjourned.
Man, try.